y'all, we are back at you today with a video on all about the flowering stages of banana plants. We have lots of banana plants. We grow lots of bananas. So we're going to talk about, this is probably more for like a first time banana grower, but I don't know, if you're super stoked about bananas, you might be interested in what we have to say. I don't know, but we're going to talk about, you know, when the exciting part comes, when they start to flower and actually give you bananas. You know, you might have had your plant in the ground for 2 years with no bananas, and you're wondering when that's going to happen. So we have some info to share with you, I guess.
Yeah,
so
just the different stages of the flower.
Yeah. So, okay, so first thing, what to look for to give you some signs that you might be about to get fruit. There's some real obvious signs. We'll show them in a minute, but I mean, it's 100% obvious. You're going to know when you're going to get fruit. But before that, there's a couple things you can look for. One thing is you'll see, like right here, now this one already has fruit, but you'll see how this plant has a little bit of lean to it. And a lot of varieties will start to lean a little bit when they get close to putting off their flower.
Also, they get thick up at the top once that flower starts pushing up through the stalk.
Right here, kind of like the crown right here, where the leaves come out, will start to get wider too. And it's because, like she just said, there's a flower that's about to be pushed up through there.
So look at the size of this one versus the size of that one back there. That one, you see how much tighter together the leaves are, and it's just, there's no flower that's gone up through that one yet.
Yeah, so that's kind of two ways that you can, those are two signs you can look for, you know, to get a guess.
Our neighbor has counted leaves too, where he would say it was like 65 leaves, and then he gets flowers. So
that's right, he did say that. I have no clue if that's been, we just have one source on that, but it was,
he had one kind.
It could be, yeah.
One variety,
yeah.
So
because certainly we have some varieties that have way more leaves on them than other ones do. So I mean,
that's just another fun way to, you know, once you like really get to know the variety, that's like another fun way you can guess is by counting the leaves.
All right, so then we move on to a surefire way to know you're about to get fruit, and it's a flag leaf. And sometimes you can get a pre-flag leaf too, which is, you'll see here. You see this dwarf leaf up here. That's the flag leaf, and you can tell it's a lot smaller than the rest of these leaves. So when you get that, you know for sure that you're going to get fruit on the plant. But sometimes you can also identify a pre-flag leaf, which will be kind of
that one right there.
This one right here?
Yeah, that
so it'll be
smaller than the main ones.
Right, it'll be smaller than the main leaves that the plant put out over its life, but bigger than the flag leaf. And some people claim they can spot a pre-flag leaf, and maybe that's true if you're out here measuring every day the leaves and stuff.
Yeah, I think like from like start to finish, from the plant as like a baby spear sucker, they get bigger, and then as they start getting smaller, you get closer to the flower.
And the flag leaf isn't always this obvious either. We'll show you guys, let's round the corner over here. We'll show you guys the flag leaf that's not quite as obvious as that one. Here's some more bananas up here. Some more bananas up there. So this one right here it's just about to put out a flower. So here's kind of the next stage. After you've identified your flag leaf, which on this plant is this one right here. So you can see this flag leaf right there is a lot bigger than the one we just showed you, but it's still quite smaller than these main leaves.
And then here's the pre-flag leaf here, which is smaller than that one. This one.
And so then this is the next stage though. This is where it actually starts to push the flower out. And let's see if I can show you guys that. Right in here. Right in there, you can see the flower about to be pushed right out of the crown of this plant right here. And then that's when it starts to get exciting. That's when, like, for sure, you're about to get fruit. So, I mean, because there's your flower right there. So, and then, so, once you get your flower, let's go ahead and go back into the front garden here.
Yeah,
because we got flowers in different, we got flowers in different stages. There's one right there. We'll show you guys. So once you get the flower, let's see, we'll start with this one. It'll start to put off hands of bananas. and they kind of rotate around the stalk.
And they're underneath each of these. So
Yeah.
each petal,
Go ahead.
each petal is like one of these.
Yep.
And then it's like unfurling as it opens, the bananas come out until.
Yeah, so it'll give you several hands. These plants should have more bananas on the rack than they do. They're kind of not looking great. But anyways, you'll get to a point where the flower's going to keep, the stalk's going to keep growing, and it's going to keep putting out these little fruits, but they're just not viable. They're never going to be viable fruits. And this is when you know that kind of your rack has reached its full size. Like you can see up here, here's one that's just reached its full size. And I brought a ladder out so I could get a little closer. But you guys can see up here, we have several hands of bananas. This is a dwarf, not a dwarf variety, but the bananas are dwarfed. And you can see under here, we still have some green ones, but then we're getting to here, it's starting to put out these like non-viable fruits, and you can see they're falling. In fact, I noticed it today because this little bunch fell. So that means that rack is done putting off fruit that you're gonna get. And so then you have two options at that point. You can cut the flower off if you want, or you can just leave it on. And really, we've done it both ways 100 times. It doesn't harm the plant. I will say, if you want to cut it off, I would let it grow.
And that one was even cut.
Yeah, I would let it grow the stalk down a little more. Here, I'll show you this one. Yeah, here's one that we didn't cut right here, this banana. I would let the flower keep growing till you get a bit of stalk and then cut it. You know, leave yourself with at least 6 inches of stalk, because you could potentially spread something from your cutters, some kind of disease onto the plant. We've never had that happen, but we've had people say that to us. And then also another thing is, when you finally do harvest this rack of bananas, you see the bananas kind of, the way they hang naturally, the rack hangs down, then the bananas point up. Well, if you take this rack off and bring it in your kitchen, they start to ripen, and you're hanging it like this, the bananas start to just peel right off of the rack. So it's really best to hang it from this. So then gravity doesn't force the bananas to split as they yellow and get real.
That's another, so you want to keep it long so you can figure out how you want to hang that big rack.
Yeah,
when
right.
You get them in the house.
Right. So we sometimes I've removed the flowers if we have like the variety we showed you right here. See how much lean it has to it. And in fact, I even have it propped. But sometimes I'll remove the flower to maybe take a little weight off. Sometimes we remove the flower. This one was removed right here because it was just making like a big mess all over the walkway here.
Yeah.
And that's probably
sticky.
Yeah.
It leaves like a sap on the
it
ground,
does. Yeah.
And then we walk in the house and make a mess. So.
And you can see that's what it's doing right here. That's what this one is doing right here. So I'm going to let that flower grow out a little bit more and then probably cut that one off. But it's probably like, usually we just leave them alone though, otherwise. So, and then you finally, you know how big your rack of bananas is going to be. And then it takes several months for them to ripen to full maturity. And here's one that's pretty much at full maturity. They've started to round out, and some of them are starting to yellow. And what you could do is take a hand off at a time. You know, so
that'll alleviate weight.
And then you don't have to eat them all at once.
And you don't have to find out where to hang them.
Yeah.
In your house, you know, you can just pop them off as you want to eat them.
Yeah. But you know, we could leave these on for another 2 weeks probably, or we could just cut this whole thing off right now too. I mean, they'll still ripen on the counter. You'd be surprised. I mean, you can take some really, really unripe looking bananas. These might be a little extreme. They're still kind of square, but you'd be surprised at what'll ripen on your counter.
They would all ripen too.
They'd just be tiny.
They'd just be like tiny, thin little slivers of banana.
Yeah, so no worries if you have bananas that are, you know, halfway through, you know, full maturity and your plant falls over in a storm or something. Don't freak out. Just bring them inside and you will probably still get ripe bananas off of them. So.
I mean, it's a bummer.
Yeah. But I mean, bananas are great. If you're into, like, you know, having a food forest or an edible garden or just wanting to grow your own food, and you live in an area, we live in zone 10A. If you live in an area where you can grow bananas, I mean, that's like the first thing you got to plant, I feel.
And even if you don't like bananas, eat them green so you can eat them like a potato.
They taste, if you've never tried it, seriously, they do. Even bananas they call dessert bananas. If you eat them green, if you fry them up in the frying pan with salt and pepper.
Like, it takes like a fifth of the time it takes to cook potatoes.
Yeah, they're delicious.
If you just want like quick potatoes too. That's the plant. But also they provide so much moisture in areas.
Yeah, we've had good luck companion planting with our bananas too. We plant a lot of pineapples at the bases and stuff, and they have real tubular wet tubular roots, and there's no doubt these other plants are probably drawing some nutrients from the bananas, but we just heavily water them, and it doesn't seem to hurt them too bad. So.
And then it kind of covers up the chop and drop too when we have these plants, bursting around the bases of them.
Yeah.
You don't have to look at the mess of chop and drop around the bases and stuff.
All right, y'all. Well, if you have any questions about any of the banana stuff we showed you here today, just post down below. Till next time, everybody out there, take care.
Bye.